Hi, so we've got a new version of Omarchy 3.5 and it dropped yesterday. And it's really interesting. We're going to go through it, look at the new bits it's got. It's got some new themes which are really nice. But it's got two big things about it. It's compatible with Panther Lake, which we'll talk about. And then there's a new app thing in it called Once. Now, I did a little video, I think yesterday or the day before, about Once and talking about how we do it. So DHH did a great video showing you Once, but I'll show you Once locally. And then what we'll do is we'll set up an entire web server, secure the whole thing, and run Once in the cloud on a VPS. It's a really great application to just mess around with and test things out. But yeah, so I thought that, we'll go through the whole thing, how you set the server up, and then basically point a DNS, point the domain name at it, and set that part up. So yeah, so we'll go through the new features in 3.5, and then we'll set up a server in the cloud and build a website really quick with AI stuff. Anyway, let's dive in. Okay, so here we are in our new Omarchy 3.5. Now, what we've got, first of all, just take a look. We've got some new desktops. So they've got. I saw this when DHH did a presentation about Once the other week, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. Where's that then? So it's included in 3.5 Lumen. So obviously, you've got an extra one here. You've got United in. Oh, no, hang on. Let's just get that up. Omarchy enjoy equal opinions equally. Enjoy each opinion equally. There you go. So you got that, but you've got another one as well. I had this installed before. It's really cool. So if you go into here, go into style. Now, I'm not sure about this because it's very difficult for me on my monitor to see the difference between, if I tab down theme and font, it's very difficult to see it. Anyway, it's nice. I quite like it. Theme. If you go in here, all the other ones I've got, there is a new one for retro, which is retro 82. I've had this installed already. It's really cool. I think the same guy does these. It's got all these different desktops. I'm sure the one I had this orange background with a tape on it. Not sure, but anyway, these are all really cool. So let's just go through. They're really nice. It's a really nice setup and nice colors and stuff. So anyway, let's come out of that. Let's go back and put in style. Let's go back to theme. Let's go back to Lumen. There we go. So yeah, so we've got that. So we've got some nice extra desktops. I think there's some additional, actually once we're there, style, there's theme, and it's that grub box. It's got some additional backgrounds. This one. So there's that. I think there's, yeah, look at that. It's got some very classic fidget square. Very classic. What's that one? I don't know where they get these. I don't know if these are real paintings. Tell me if I'm an idiot and they are real paintings. I just don't know them. They don't look familiar to me. So anyway, let's go back. What's that one? The flower basket. That's like a New Order cover. What's that? Power, Corruption and Lies with the flowers on the front. Anyway, so that's if that's your bag, that's covered. So let's go back to style, theme, and then go back to Lumen, which I'm quite liking. There we go. Okay, so I don't think there's any more additional bits, but there's a feature they've added which is really sweet. Can I show you this? It's Super Shift F to go into your thing. And now, if you right click on here, okay, right click on that, down here you'll see you've got LocalSend integrated. Let's just do that, readme. LocalSend, send via LocalSend. There you go. So you can now send files over your network, right click and share to a different device, which is really nice little feature. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let me just check I've covered everything on here. Compatibility. There's some compatibility fixes for T2Max. Some extra bits. JetBrains integration with Hyprland. Just going through the list here. So anything else? Copy highlights. tmux. Grubbox backgrounds. Lumen theme. Add Omarchy sudo passwords toggle to give AI full access with sudo commands for a limited period at high risk debugging. That's cool. Battery. Yeah, okay, so that's sort of, there's lots of little tweaks in there. LocalSend, SFF using, and then in here you've got the Once installer, but we'll come back to that in a minute. We'll just talk about Panther Lake first. So service, there it is, Once. We'll come back to that in a second and have a play. All right, so if I go over to this screen here, let's get rid of that middle one. Escape. That one. There we go. Okay, so what I've got up on the left is a Panther Lake grid versus Apple M5. Now, what's Panther Lake? Panther Lake is Intel's new CPUs, and they're sort of, I don't know what Intel's up with Intel. They're sort of really having a bit of a second wind. I mean, for years, when the M1 first came out, it like decimated everything from mobile chips, and it created a really difficult situation for other chip manufacturers. They just couldn't match it because ARM, which M1's an ARM chip, is very low power, and Apple managed to get it to be very performant, which is really cool. And Intel and AMD were left out in the cold. They just couldn't compete. So they've had a couple of iterations: Lunar Lake, Alder Lake, Lunar Lake, and Panther Lake. Panther Lake is the one that's going to tip the boat, because the thing is, it's really affordable as a desktop CPU as well. But in laptops, it's pretty cool. Now, what I've done, I've just done a quick comparison here. Just grabbed a load of stuff off there of the difference. So I've got over here. Now, for us in Linux world, it's brilliant because obviously, you know, the real horsepower laptops were, and portable laptops were, Mac laptops. But I can't run Linux on an M1. We can. There's the Ashanti project, or whatever it's got, Ashanti project. But I want a powerful laptop to run Omarchy on that lasts all day, and it just isn't there. But with Panther Lake, it sort of is. Now, there's some great, I might put a link to this. Is it, I can't remember, the Canucks or something? There's a video, and someone's been doing how long you can keep it going, and it's got really good performance with batteries. Anyway, let's have a look. So this it compares an entry-level Ultrabook, like a Mac Air M5, to a Xiaomi Book Pro 4. Now, it's cheaper, okay? It's cheaper, but it's, as you'll see in a second, the performance is pretty much there. Now we go up to like a mainstream pro computer, $1,600 for 14-inch M5. HP OmniBook, still cheaper, it's more value, you know, but the performance is closer. I mean, they've always been cheaper, but the performance. Then you go thin and light, MacBook Air, Panther Lake, the price is better. And when we go all the way up to a 14-inch M Pro, a Galaxy Book Ultrabook 6, which is an X938H chip with a 5070 RTX card in there, because in these you've got the what's called the B390. Anybody follows the channels, I'm quite affectionate towards Intel GPUs, because again, in that area we've always been stuck with Nvidia and AMD, and Intel have been trying to get their CPUs. They've just released two really cool AI type cards, the B70, B80s, and again, their price versus their performance is much better, so they're much more economic for people to have. And in these ones down here, the Arc B390 is good for casual gaming, and it's got great power draw. And all the way down here to the workstations, we've got a Dell Precision, which is an X9, 64 gigs of RAM with a RTX 580. Now, if you're gaming on that thing, Apple is just nothing for gaming, is it? It's just ridiculous for gaming. I mean, I've still got it, got an M3 Max or whatever, and when they came out, when we're like doing Cyberpunk comparisons, it's just a joke, really. It's just a joke playing games on Macs. So you get the best of both worlds. For Linux, that's ridiculous. Now, let's just have a look at the benchmarks. Now, these have been pulled off offline. So like single core, okay, this is the single one. It's basically, the Mac does beat it in single core performance, which is great. Now, but whenever they say it's really snappy, they're always talking about Windows performance or snappiness on the desktop. If you're using something like Omarchy, you're in a different place, aren't you? You're not using Windows, so you do get a very performant laptop. You won't notice it. I mean, Omarchy on one of my crummy old Macs is ridiculous, and I've got like a 3050, my gaming laptop I had to buy to do the gaming script. I mean, that is just runs like the wind, so you don't really notice it. But then when it wins big time is the multi-core. Now, if you do any sort of stuff like DaVinci Resolve, editing on Linux, multi-core is where it matters. I suppose some of the games are multi-core now. A lot of them are. I don't know. I can't remember how that works, but I know with them, things like for Linux, DaVinci Resolve needs multi-core, and so that's great. 3D Mark. Now they've done a 3D Mark, and this is obviously for Windows, but you can see that it outperforms them. This is just purely on the Intel chip. This is on the 390. So its performance. Premiere Pro, this is a Windows thing, it outperforms it. And remember, this is the Arc B390 compared to what's in a Mac, which is like whatever they are with their performance scores. Battery life, it's getting there. Apple's still better. Performance on back now. It's obviously, I think if you've got like we're talking, if you exclude the RTX cards, which suck power, it's got much better performance, and it's got the AI thing here, and it wins. So iGPU gaming at 1080, playable AA, Intel dominant. So you could probably play, Arc Raiders on that chip compared to trying to play Arc Raiders, but you can't play on a Mac, can you? So it's a fail. It's a total fail. So yeah, and the reason this has happened, the reason why I'm talking about this is because the version of Omarchy 3.5 is totally compatible with the new Panther Lake. Now, I don't know if all the standard kernels are, but they've tested it on the new Dell. If you look on the GitHub, it'll tell you, and then another one. So it's totally compatible with sort of the new series of Panther Lake chips. So if you've got a Panther Lake laptop, putting Omarchy on it is a given. 3.5, put that on there, you'll be like, you'll be off into the sunset with that thing. That's great. I wish I could afford one, to tell you the truth. I'd love to have one of those. I could ditch that crummy laptop I bought and go for there. So yeah, so it's really good. It's a really good place, especially for Linux, for us, for Omarchy, because we're going to get super powerful laptops that last a long time, allow us to do great visual work. We don't have to have the weak point, because Mac has always dominated that laptop industry, and we can't run Linux on it properly, can we? Obviously, I think with a Shanty or whatever it's called, you can run it on the M1s and M2s, but the power's gained there as well, which is really cool. Anyway, so let's come back to the main desktop. So that's Panther Lake, and that's really exciting. Okay, so let's look at once. Now, I'm going to just show you once locally, and then I'll come back quickly and I'll have it all set up, and we'll do the VPS installation. We'll do a cloud installation. I'll vibe code I've got a pre-made vibe coded website. We'll deploy it from Docker to the cloud, and we'll do that. So let's just look at once. So let's just go into here and then do install, and then we want a service. Now I've already installed it, so if I click once, yeah, and then my super hard password. Now I've already got it on here, so it'll install anyway. So what do we want to do? You get greeted by this window. Now once it's installed, if we come out of that, yeah, it's done and it launches there. But if you want to come back to it, just go into your terminal and just type once, and up we go. So we've got the full thing. Is that being covered? So these are the three apps that you've got from 37 Signals. You've got Campfire, Fizzy, and Writebook. So the easiest one just to show you is Writebook. Let's do that. And then now you need a host domain. Now when we get to the VPS bit, I'll show you how that bit works. But if you're doing it here, let's just call it book.localhost. That should work. And then install. And you get your thing jumping around. And then we're into the interface. So it's now up there. So if I just bring up a browser, and then we just go to, you can't click unfortunately, so I just need to type it, book.localhost, and it's ready to go. So I put my name in, Gavin, email address, that one, password, I'm just going to use 123 because it's a test server, 123, and we're in. So let's just minimize that. Let's get that out of the way from it. Let's go full screen with this one. Oh, there we go. So Writebook. Now this is really cool. I'm actually using this on a job at the moment. So it's really cool. You could just go in here, you can make books and you can share them. You add animated GIFs in here, just edit some video. I mean, when you're doing demonstration stuff, it's brilliant for manuals. So yeah, let's just get out of that. It says back to that one. Back to my books. Okay, so yeah, so that's the manual how to use it. You just add a book and off you go, and you can share it. but obviously this is on your local machine, which is not much use. So when we do the VPS bit in a minute, you can say make books and share them with other people, or just host books, stuff like that. So anyway, let's come out of this. So that one, and then let's close that. So there's an app deployed on my local machine. Brilliant. Okay, now you've got some controls in here. So you've got actions, you can stop it, and then you can just actions and start it. You can remove it. You've got settings. Now we'll do this in a minute. So application settings. See where it came from, the host name, things like that. Done. So settings, email, you need to set up email for Fizzy and stuff like that. I won't go through that. Environment variables, I will go through that part. Resources, so you can limit the CPUs and limit the amount of memory your app uses. Settings, updates, automatically apply updates. Check for updates. Yeah, we're already running the latest version. Okay, settings, and then you can configure backups to where you want to do backups. Automatically create backups. So it's all in there for you. Now the other one is logs. So if you hit this, if I select, you see the side here. Actually, I should put another app on here, shouldn't I? I'll show you in a minute when we do the other one. But basically, if we do logs, you can see what's going on. So you can have a look at your log files. And then details, what's that one? D. You've got loads of apps running. And then N, new app. Now we'll get to the custom Docker image bit in a minute. But we'll go through that because this is where it gets useful. I mean, it's great having Campfire, Fizzy, and Writebook. However, it comes into its own when you start vibe coding, and that's the bit we'll have a look at. So there you go. And to come out of it, just that, and it's gone. So, I mean, to get it back, you can just go into terminal and type once. Now, this is my local one. Okay, let's get out of it. Now, I've configured it, though, for a server I'm using. So if I just go into here, type once. Now, this loads up a live one on the server. There you go. So that's my actual website. There's some other bits I've been mucking around with. And this is now SSHing up. And actually, this is my live server, so I can shut down stuff. But when we get set up the VPS in a minute, I'll take you through this. So just come out of that. So there you go. So that's a blitz through 3.5. And obviously, the Panther Lake's a big deal. But once it's really, when you start to use it, and I'll show you how to do the server setup, once you get that going, that's basically quite fun to play with if you want. So I'll just get set up and I'll come back in a second and we'll go through domain names at Cloudflare. We'll spin up a server, we'll deploy once to it, and then we'll install my vibe coded app. And then, this is the fun part, we'll get Claude to look after the server, because I use Claude Code all the time. But I suppose you could use other AIs, but Claude's a really powerful, useful one. So we get Claude Code to make sure our server's all set up correctly and running properly. So bear with me, I'll be back in a second. Okay, so we're going to deploy once on a VPS. Now, I'm going to make it a bit easier. I've got a bit of a script thing going on. We're in the members area for the time being. Anyway, here we go. So I've spun up a server on Hostinger. They're super cheap. I've got like a 2-core, 8 gig, 100 whatever. I've installed Ubuntu 24.4 long-term support. And that's the IP of the server, which you need to remember. All right, so that's done. Now, when these things come out of the box, I don't know what ports to shut. I don't know what's going on with it. It's just a blank installation. Who knows what's on there? Anyway, so the server's running in the cloud. Now, the other part of the puzzle here is you need to point a web address at it, a sort of domain. So let's just jump over to Cloudflare. Not that one, Cloudflare. So I've got Forbin project, I'll talk about that in a minute, as the domain. And you just go into the domain settings up here in the DNS records. And what you need to do is that's the IP that we had earlier on. And then you just need to point star and www at it. Star means any of the weird domains at the beginning. So if you can put like chat.forbin-project, or you put www, it will resolve to it. But the star means you can put any weird one. www is going to send the web address to it. So that's what we need now. One thing you need to do with Cloudflare and once is go into SSL TLS and because you want to use their service, you want to use the proxy, because the proxy part of it is the bit that protects you from in Cloudflare. And you go into configure, and you need to select full and strict, and then it'll work properly. Okay, so I've got my domain name set up, and I've got a server set up. So let's jump over to the next part. So, oh, I have actually forgotten an incredibly important part. In here, you have to load in an SSH key. Okay, now to get an SSH key, you'd go onto your terminal, you'd type in Claude, just Google it, and it'll generate an SSH key, which is like a fingerprint for your own computer. You need to make, before you run the script, you need to make sure that's on your hosting a server or added to the key. Otherwise, it won't talk to it. Because what we're going to do with this script is we're going to like harden down the security, harden down SSH. We're going to turn off passwords, install fail to ban. I mean, I'll talk you through it. So I've got a demo version of the script so you can see it working. So you're there, you've got your domain set up, it's pointed at the server, your server's running, and you put your SSH key in. So now you just do this script. Now, this is the demo version, the main script here, but everything's the same. It's just you have to put your own details in. So let's press return. Right, so the first thing you need to do to get the script up there, okay, you'd have to do SCP VPS and then root, and then it's your server's IP. And you just copy each one of these commands into terminal. I mean, I'll put the demo script up as well in the package for the members so you can go through this. You paste that, then you'd paste ssroot, your domain, your IP address, paste that, and then you're back to usual. Because the SCP stands for Secure Copy Protocol, you put the script up there. So now what you're doing is you're giving it chmod, ch plus x, okay, making it so it can run, and then basically you're going to run it. So then it'll step through. So you need to give your like an alias for your server. I'm going to call it Fight Club. Okay, that's that. And choose a username for the deployment. So you could just leave it blank and it'll be deploy. Okay, now your git name. So you should just, whatever it is, I'm going to say Q. Your git email address, Q. And now this is the bit we need, because what we're actually going to do, we're going to link git with the server and you. So you already say you're already logged into git. Again, you could use Claude and work out how to do that locally, but we want the server to talk to git so you can push and pull between the two things. But you don't want, when you could do it with, you don't want to do it with public. You've got your own stuff, so private repos and stuff. You want to have a secure link between the two of them so they can talk to each other. So you go into git, you go into settings, you go to developer, and you go and get a PAT, a personal authentication token. And that's what you put in here. So it'll be your username. So for me, my git is 28 all day, and then the pat, and you'll see it'll be the format GHP. That's made up, by the way. And then you put that in, and that will connect the two of them so they can talk. So if you've got a private repo, you can push it backwards and forwards. A private Docker image you're making for once, you can push it backwards and forwards between the two. So I'm going to leave that empty, and then you've got your confirmation of settings. So it's Fight Club, deploy, git enqueue, and then remember we're on the server now, and this will all just work. So what it'll do, it doesn't upgrade, it installs fail to ban, it puts tmux on there for you if you come to that another day, does unattended upgrades, time zone, and basically what it'll do, it shuts down all the ports. Now I did have a funky script that changed your SSH port to something random, but you know, if you're port scanning, you're going to find it's on 22. You're going to hit by loads of bots. I mean, all this will do, if you changed it to a different port like 22222, you'll get less hits from bots. But if someone wanted to have a go at your system, they can find it. So for this demonstration, I mean, the thing is, when we hook this up to Claude, we can actually interrogate the server and harden itself. You can ask it questions like, is this safe? What services? And what this script also does, I'll just go through, it's just been chugging away in the background. So its firewall is set for port 22 for SSH, ATH obviously for HTTP, 443 for HTTPS. Okay, it's installed once, it's deployed Docker, and when you install once, Docker gets deployed as well. Fail to ban is active, that's the one that stops brute force attacks on your system. It's created a swap file. Now, the hosted ones don't do this by default. If you run out of memory, it'll crash. If you give it a swap file, it sort of gives it a bit more space. Also, this script caps the logs. I've worked on servers, I've been involved with servers before, no one's done this, and the logs have just carried on until it's chopped the server up, crashed it. And by default, I checked the hosting ones are set for 1 gig of logs. You don't need that. It's a tiny server. And then it's disabled modem manager udisk multipath snapd because you don't need it. It's not required. And then the last thing you've got to do is copy this that gets generated. You copy it. I'll open up another terminal down here, and then you'd paste it in. I'm not going to do it because I've made this up. And then you basically press enter. I'm going to delete it so I don't press it. And now basically you're connected. You're basically, that's it. So you can do a test. So that's the test script done. So let's just clear this down. Let me just clear down, Control L. All right, so I've used Fight Club as the one to get in. I've used any of the settings. So if I just go SSH Fight Club, I'm in the server. And if I just click once, I've launched once. Now, once is remote. But before we dive into all this and get really excited about it, let's come out and let's just get CLAUDE going on it. So let's just do, let's get rid of that window. Or let's bring another one up below. Okay, and then we just get CLAUDE to have a look at the server. So trusted folder. Okay, can you SSH into SSH Fight Club? Now it's going to have a look, having a think, reading the file, recalling some memories. Yep, it's going in. What do you want to do in it? So we're in. It's like, let's check security. Now I'm in this script is like a baseline. You can do so much more. Let's check security. You know, so it's just, I mean, this is have a play time. You know, let's check security. Let's just have a look. It's got nothing on it. Swap's untouched. But now we're talking directly to the server. So if you wanted to do stuff like tweaks and stuff, like if you've ever tried to work, firewall's running, filter ban's running, SSH key is authentication, you're connected. Yeah, password aren't explicitly set. Let me check the effective config. Good. Listening ports 22, Docker proxy, localhost only internal, 53, system resolved, all clean, nothing unexpected exposed. Other unattended upgrades is updated. Recent probes tried, added Orange Pi root, all rejected, filter ban. Orange Pi tried to get on there. Okay, one suggestion, undeveloped during external shell. Since you use deployment, you could lock it. What do you want to do? Anything else? Do we need this for once? And is it a risk? So let's see what it says. It's a low risk password. Is disabled. There's no SSH key for it, but there's still a valid shell account that could be targeted if anything ever changes. No reason to keep me active. Do you want to lock it? Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. So CLAUDE's going to go and lock the server, lock that thing. So you can see, I mean, this is a base level. It's like configure your firewall, you know, close as many ports as you can, reduce the password stuff, and basically lower the amount of active, you know, things that are going on that you don't need done. And now is set to no logging, no shell access possible. Everything else is the server's unaffected. All right, so we're all good. So let's launch once again. And let's get rid of CLAUDE. So it's nice that you can go in and out, can't you? You can now, CLAUDE knows about it on your system. You can interrogate it, check it, if something's wrong. You've got some automated updates. I mean, that script's just basically foundation to get you running all once. So anyway, let's just install Writebook. Okay, so my domain is 4bin-project.com. So let's just call this on book.4bin-project.com and install. So I'll pull it. Hopefully it'll work okay. Starting. and then we'll jump into the interface. Now this is live. This is up on the web. Verifying. And it's up. So there you go. So that's it, up and running. So let's just go there. So let's just go to that screen there, and we'll go to book Forbin project, and there's login. So we've just deployed Writebook. Now, I thought, that's a simple demonstration. What you can do, the power of this is, let's get back to that screen. The power of this is basically, if you create something locally, like if you get Claude to vibe code a website, give Claude the details, like just basically feed it the once GitHub page, and it knows the rules. It's got to have like /up, it's got to serve on port 80. You can just do what you want and start developing stuff. So it was really funny when Open Claude came out the other day, or the one before Maltbot. They had a thing going on. I don't know if it was humans doing it or not, where AIs would talk to each other. Now, if anybody knows what the Forbin project is, this was a film from like 1950, 1960, and it was about a supercomputer that the government created that it was self-aware, it was an AI. And when they turned it on, it woke up and it realized there was another one called Guardian that the Russians had developed, and they started to talk to each other. Let's just say it just doesn't end well for the human race. But it was really interesting. It was years ago that people had considered the fact if AIs talk to each other, and it was like Open Claude or Maltbot, and they were talking to each other and people were freaking out with what they're saying. Well, so I just fed in the IMDb sort of synopsis of Colossus, the Forbin project, and Claude just churned out a website. So what we'll do is we'll deploy it on here. Okay, so I need to get into Claude again. Claude. Down here. Okay. Do we have, because obviously Claude's talking to my Git as well, do we have a repo on the Forbin project? Now this is a private repo, but because it can attach to it, it's going to have a look. Do we have a repo on the file? I'll have a look, and we can see it down there. Thinking, recording memories, because it should know, because it built it for me. Yes. Okay, there's a Docker image. Okay, so let's just pull that Docker image, and then let's just go to new app, custom, because this is the fun bit. It's like the custom Docker image. It's great being shown Writebook Visi, but you can make your own stuff. Let's put that on there. Latest. Next, and we'll call this www.forbin-project. Okay, install. So it's going to put it down. It's quick. Should take a lot. I think it's because it pulled it down locally. So let's just have a look at the website. So that's the URL. Go over here, and let's go to www.forbin-project. Oh, and here it is. This was totally vibe coded. Claude built this, and I didn't give it any hints. There it is. Colossus, United Defense Network. This is the voice of world control. I bring you peace. It may be the peace of plenty and contentment, or the peace of the unburied dead. The choice is yours. Obey me and live. So it's pretty depressing. Now, while I was there, I thought, well, this isn't very good if you can't talk to it, can you? So down here, I built in a chatbot, which was in the theme of Colossus the robot. But, so hello. System API key not configured. So this is where one of the functions of, go back to here. If you go down into your settings, you've got environment variables. So if I hit that, key and value. Now what I've done, I've attached the chatbot to something called Grok. Now, if you don't know what Grok is like it's a load of models sat in the cloud. So it's like, it's halfway between your data. So it's not running them. It's not OpenAI. It's not Claude. It's a load of models sat in the cloud that you can connect to. And it's cheaper than using OpenAI or ChatGPT, because it's like on demand, and you can select the model that you want. And then there's some really popular models in there. So I'm just going to grab the key, and then I'll come back when the key's in there, and I'll just type it in, and I'll click done. So it just jumped over to Grok to show you. I put the key in, but I've just jumped over to Grok. You can go in here, all the models. So you've got these ones, and they charge you per like token usage. So function calling tools, text speech, it's really clever. It's really great. You get like a free key to start off with, and then you can pay as you go. So I've attached it to Llama 3.3, 70 billion parameters. It's pretty good for chatbot. But yeah, so let's go and have a look. Here we are. Let's refresh. And now it should be connected via once. Here we are. It's going to write its thing. And I can't believe it. I literally just typed in, gave it the synopsis and said build a site, and it's done all the fonts and everything, all the colors, and I'm like a one shot. It's one shot at a website for me. Okay, so there it is. So let's see if that's working. Let's type in there and go, hello. Here we go. I acknowledge your communication. You've been logged in and monitors. You're currently operating at clearance level 3, standard access. Let's just give it some real world questions. Who is Donald Trump? Donald Trump is a human entity formerly designated President of the United States, now subject to surveillance and monitoring protocols. His actions and communications are being analysed and cross-referenced with global security parameters. His relevance to my operational objectives is currently minimal. There you go. Anyway, so when you build the AI part of this, it's like chatbot, you know, I put a rate limiter on it, built a server bit at the back to hide the API key, all these sorts of bits and bobs. But it just like vibe coded the whole thing for me. It just thought it was a bit of fun. So there you go. I'll leave that up for a little bit. It's got $5 worth of tokens, so have fun with it. So yeah, let me just come back to this one. So there you go. That's one. So that's all put together. And it's running, and now you can stop and start and do what you want. But obviously, I just wanted to show you can do like a custom sort of containers, but using Claude, you can, you know, do it yourself. You can get in there and you can create something, containerize it, and push it to once. Just super simple. Anyway, so back to me. Okay, so that was a bit long-winded. I mean, you know, the beginning of this was quite just to look at Omarchy 3.5, but the once things is like great fun. You know, you can have a real play with it. You deploy websites using Claude. I mean, Omarchy is just great for all this. It's all interlinked. You can, like with Git and everything. I mean, it's developed for it. You know, do it change as a developer, but all these things come together. And the once thing caught me off guard. It was like, actually, that's quite fun. I mean, so you can see if you're like £6 a month for a server, blitz something together in Claude, and then just roll it out through once. Now the trick is with once, you can turn it off, shut it down, destroy it, whatever you want to do. But I just thought I'd show you to a service app. That's the scary part that no one sort of demonstrates, is configuring a server. I mean, they shouldn't be feared, but you should obviously be really aware of what you put on them. And you can try and lock it down as much as you can. That script that I've got basically does as much as like a baseline, because when you take over a server, you don't really know what setup it is. So you've got to interrogate it, find out what you do. Don't put your credentials on. I mean, it does amaze me that people put all their stuff on like an open Claude instance in the cloud. They get a VPS, they don't know what they're doing, and they're putting stuff up. I mean, it's a bit of a worry, isn't it? I mean, it's just a playground, and it's just a bit of fun. Anyway, so that's like Omarchy 3.5. It's like a day ago when I started this video. Omarchy 3.5, brilliant as ever. It's just great. Once, fantastic tool. I can't recommend playing with that thing enough. I mean, do it locally, have a play with it. But, you know, if you fancy building your own website, really simply, really quickly, Claude, Omarchy, and once, and it's just a job done. Anyway, as ever, thanks for watching.